As part of our how-to series, we're going to look at another example of the simple logic strategy we have been using to break down various doubts, putting two theories next to each other to evaluate which one brings us closer to a good theory. As you do this, you will hone your theories more and more and come to feel greater comfort with certainty about the ones that survive. This episode continues to address that general concept, but focuses on level 3 doubt, the question as to whether or not you yourself can get better, given who you are as a person and how you work inside yourself. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below and we will get back to you personally. And finally, you can reserve your place in one of my seminars or purchase any of my mind-body guides, also known as the PDFs, at www.crushingdoubt.org. Now, without further ado, let's turn our attention to how to evaluate different theories through logic to beat level 3 doubt. In the last two how-to episodes, we looked at how to put two theories side by side to target a particular level 1 or 2 doubt. Today, we get to look at level 3 doubt in this same light. We all know the burning question on everyone's mind when it comes to getting rid of mind-body symptoms. How? While each column is very crucial to parts of the experience, it is doubt that keeps things stuck in the same place and hinders the progress of the other columns. So we've got to keep giving you ways to attack it. I've already discussed in a previous video how to get your doubts articulated, and this is absolutely the first step you must take in getting doubts resolved. Remember, the job is not to have no doubt. The job is to let in all of the doubts that you have, and then get to a place of no doubt on as many issues as you can through science and logic. It can't be faked, of course. You must believe whatever self-talk in which you are engaged in considering how to master doubts. Once you have identified a doubt and gotten it well articulated, it is time to engage with it directly. Just as I did in the episode on resolving issues in doubt levels 1 and 2, we are now going to do the same for a sample level 3 doubt, once again focusing on one of my favorite ways of using logic to dismantle any doubt. As a review, here is what I often do for myself and recommend you utilizing as well. Once you have the doubt well articulated, it is in good shape to be scrutinized. Now it's time to lay out two distinct theories that give a potential answer to the doubt. They don't even have to be great theories yet. They just have to reflect accurately something you are thinking. Regardless, they will allow us to explore what is true and what is not, and to put us in a more logical frame of mind just by the exercise itself. We just want to compare two answers and see which one is closer to being true with science and logic, and then move on to comparing two more theories that further that endeavor. As we do this, we can get closer and closer to a true theory in which we won't have any real doubt. In the meantime, we must be ferocious in our view of what is logical and what is not. If we are not determined to get somewhere with our logic, we won't get anywhere. What we wish was true, or what would be easier if it was true, or what everyone else thinks is true, these are all irrelevant. Remember, if a theory doesn't make a whole lot of sense, if it relies on randomness or an easy acceptance of we don't know, it isn't a good theory. We can do better. If a theory is true some of the time but not all of the time, that's no good. If it can't explain things from every angle, that's also no good. Remember Occam's razor. The more assumptions you have to make for a theory to be true, the less likely it is to be true. Use this way of thinking to look at different theories to determine what actually makes sense. One great relief I have found that gives me a much greater sense of security in my certainty is that the mind-body theory is always superior to the other ones, from every angle. It is by testing it against thousands of different theories I have had and other people have raised that I have come to have such confidence in mind-body thinking, particularly as I describe it. Each and every time, my theory comes out on top as more logical and without any holes in it. It is to me the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world of theories that describe what is happening when symptoms won't go away and aren't connected to a major medical issue. Because everything heals. Something has to explain why some things seemingly aren't healing. Here's a nice start to our theory comparisons just generally, let alone how they will falter against mind-body theory in specific. These other theories that get thrown around tend to focus on only one part of experience. And most of the time, not even that well. But mind-body theories, done well anyways, capture everything. For example, they might say something like, oh well, when you get dizzy, it's because of a problem in the vestibular system. Yes, well, no one is arguing it's not, but why is that problem suddenly there? Their answer is often super specific and without any real reasoning, such as the crystals in the inner ear have gotten out of place. That's very specific, but why? I sometimes crack up at the things I used to believe, many of which the massive majority of society still believes. I hear your average person now talk about pain or other symptoms, and to me, genuinely, they sound confused, but willing themselves to sound confident. What I want is a conceptualization in which we can actually be confident. So let's get right to the level 3 doubt aspect of things. Level 3 doubt comes in when the first two levels have been largely mastered. In other words, you know your symptoms are mind-body and aren't worried about it being something medical or injury-related. And you also believe pretty strongly that mind-body work can help people cure or master symptoms entirely, rather than thinking it's only part of the puzzle and can only do so much. That's a lot of doubt you've already conquered. But sometimes you can't escape what's left. You. To articulate it generally, what if there's something wrong with me that is going to get in the way of my getting better and it cannot be conquered? What if I worry too much? Since it is mind-body, what if my mind is designed in some way that will make me continue to do the things that perpetuate the symptoms? What if I obsess too much? What if I am genetically predisposed to some bad way of thinking? Essentially, what if I can't get out of my own way? As always, your doubts are not founded on craziness. These are not entirely unreasonable questions, but fortunately, there are actual answers to these questions, and logic can get us there if we are simply willing to commit to a logical pursuit of the answers. Nothing can stop you from getting there except giving up, and doubt is going to try to get you to do just that. First, as always, let's articulate the sample doubt. I believe that this isn't structural at all, and I believe that the mind-body experience can create all of these symptoms, and I even believe this is totally reversible if I can get to the right mindset. But what if there's something about me that can't get to the right mindset? This is level 3 doubt, and as with any doubt, to conquer it, you must recognize it in its broad form and then isolate its specific form for logical self-debate. To make this concrete, once again, I'm going to pick an arbitrary example of level 3 doubt this time, and then lay out the two theories. One having not enough understanding of mind-body work, and the other being appropriately mind-body informed. Let's look at this one. I have always been a worrier, and if it takes not worrying to get rid of the symptoms, I think I'm a lost cause. That's an awful place to be for sure, but there's good news. Worrying it's true doesn't make it actually be true. Neither does a long history of evidence suggesting it tends to be true. Yes, it may be your typical path, but you are not doomed to that, and logical debate can show you why. As I said last time, in lining up two theories, it is crucial to bring the very real consideration that a worry or doubt that seems eminently plausible could end up being one of the most outlandish theories you've ever had. We'll let logic determine what is real rather than assumptions. This means that we need true, full openness of exploration. It also means we must remember that we will have no idea when we are caught in a faulty theory or self-deception if we can't consider if we might be caught in one in the first place. We cannot trust our initial response. Logic can help us feel confident when we are right because we have run it through many varied tests before deciding, as opposed to the one test of, well, this is always what happens, so it will just continue. Think about it. That's actually only one test, applied over and over. Of course you are getting the same results. Let the doubt in. Let it be known, but do not give in to it. Nearly all doubts end up not being true. Now, on to the main event. Let's line up the two theories. 1, I could get better from mind-body work, but the way my brain is set up for worry has made it impossible, and I see no reason for this to change. And theory 2, it is true that my worry has made my mind-body symptoms have tremendous control over me. But if changing my beliefs is the key, and anyone can change beliefs about some things, I should be able to do this just like anyone else, regardless of my initial setup. Theory 1 does have some of its own logic in it, which is why it can capture our imagination well. After all, as they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Doubt will use this truth against you and say, why would you think you can beat this? You've seen the same thing happen over and over again. But once we bring theory 2 in, to provide the right comparison and information, we see this rebuttal. Yes, that's true, but now we aren't going to do the same thing. So this statement is irrelevant. The advantage of mind-body information, at least as my system does it, is that we are now bringing in something new. What this means is that all of your arguments that it has always been this way aren't standing on logical ground. Yes, it has always been this way, but that was with the old information, not the new stuff. When comparing the two theories, be prepared for doubt to just bring the next one up once you've conquered the first. This is an important point. In comparing two theories, don't just stop at the first doubt. To make doubt crumble, you need to pursue it in every corner and chase it off a cliff. That's how you can expose theory 1 as a fraud and feel more confident in theory 2, the mind-body one. So now, let's answer this next doubt that was underneath the one before it. Now, doubt might say, okay, fine, so we can't just assume that past results predict the future perfectly, but am I really going to conquer something that requires me to change my mind in dramatic ways that have always been hard for me? If you've watched my previous how-to videos on two-theory analyses of doubts, you'll recall something I highlighted before. If a theory needs to rely on a secondary argument just to stay afloat, it's already sinking. Meanwhile, if one theory already encompasses everything the other theory says and still has a better explanation, we can start to feel much more comfortable dismissing the former theory that has a more zoomed-in take, and one that is, as such, likely to miss a bunch, and a less accurate one at that. This is exactly what we are seeing with the first theory here. It is devolving into secondary arguments and overly specified takes that require us to ignore information in order for the theory to stay relevant in the discussion or possible at all. And each of these secondary arguments prove to be less logical than the next, because they are built on a foundation that already crumbled. I'm mixing my metaphors of boats and houses, but it's all the same when we are talking about solidity. Our mind-body theory acknowledges what theory 1 is arguing, that your specific way of thinking actually does get in the way sometimes. But it also does two other things. One, it explains why this is happening to you specifically, and two, it does not sign on to the unnecessarily pessimistic viewpoint that past results dictate future results, because we're changing the variables. Any good scientific experiment would not dare to draw results based on past studies when the variables have changed. This would be horrifically bad science. Well, this is part of what your doubt is asking you to do. So, level 3 doubt 2 doesn't have science on its side, and it also doesn't have logic. Now that we have theory 1 from today on the ropes, it's time to go for the knockout, with excellent, logical, accurate self-talk. The doubt that there is something wrong with you requires you to see others as somehow better, when there's no reason whatsoever that they inherently would be. Even if you are more afraid than other people, fears can be alleviated in people, so you are still not doomed. On top of it, it is consistently true that when people get a new understanding of things that makes them feel less afraid, they can calm down and return to the same functioning as anyone else. This is, in fact, the essence of therapy. People come to a therapist with worries, anxiety, pessimism, and sometimes hopelessness, but talk alone can alter these thoughts and make them not the lived reality for that person anymore because of the new information. Essentially, to argue that you cannot get better is massively illogical. It requires you to think yourself as being so different from other people that you are not capable of basic things of which all people are capable. Meanwhile, thousands of pain and symptom sufferers who have a high degree of fear and anxiety have still gotten better. So it continues to make less and less logical sense that you couldn't get better yourself. Even if fear makes recovery slower at times, it does not stop it from happening. Like a marathon runner who walks the marathon, they still cross the finish line. Besides, the antidote to fear is information. This means that you having fear doesn't doom you to anything. It simply means you still need the right information. Doubt won't give up so easily, though. Expect it to say something like, but even if you were right about all of that, I don't believe I can get my fear under control. The key here is to never stop with the logic. If you are going to continue this argument against yourself, you must hold firm to the requirement that you cannot rest while logic stands against what you are saying. Because is not an answer. I just don't believe it is not an answer. Those are refusals to engage, which is another way that doubt can beat you. I've said it many, many times before, but doubt will always try to come back in. It has thousands upon thousands of ways to do it, and you must keep up a ferocious determination to beat it second by second until it becomes so automatic that it is very little work for you. The only people who do not make my system work for themselves are the people who aren't determined enough to beat doubt. Some of those people have described themselves as simply too scared. While I empathize greatly with them, I won't accept that distinction because it was crafted by doubt. No one is too scared. There are only the willing and the unwilling. If you say you are too scared or don't believe you can overcome this, and I say this at the risk of alienating a few, but hopefully helping many, many more, you are accepting a role in the unwilling to fight doubt camp. This is the only way that doubt wins, if you give up logical debate and a determination to win. One analogy I have used is that our battle against doubt is like the American revolutionaries. They knew that all they had to do to win was to survive. The British were on foreign land, away from their resources, and would run out of determination, interest, or even capability to continue the fight over time. The same is true here. Doubt has no chance if you won't give it one, and every minor or major win brings you closer to victory overall. In short, there is not a single level 3 doubt out there that is true. Not one. They can be very convincing, but they are all false, and they crumble to logical scrutiny after enough time. You may be tricked into thinking that logic agrees with the doubt, but that is a surefire sign that it is a twisted logic in which you are engaged. Line up the two theories and you'll see it, or come to me, or each other for help. When it comes to doubt that you can't do this because of who you are, there is an important distinction to make. No one cannot do this because of who they are, but some end up not doing it because of who they choose to be. Don't let doubt make the choice for you, and you will beat doubt. It is inevitable. I really hope you enjoyed this episode on how to look at different theories through a logical lens to come to certainty about your mind-body experience and master level 3 doubt. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below and we'll get back to you personally.